how to pray and who to pray to. And Swami Kriyananda had that beautiful writing helping to explain that Krishna is saying, yes, of course, God is absolute. He's everything. And in fact, on our path of yoga, we sort of have as our goal enlightenment, moksha, self-realization. We all know that's the goal. We all know that's where we're going. From joy I came, for joy I live. In sacred joy I melt again. Satchidananda. We're from Satchidananda. We emerge back in Satchidananda. We know this in our minds. But even affirming that again and again, can we really understand what that means? And does that really help engage our hearts? Yes, Paramhansa Yogananda wrote in the book Autobiography of a Yogi, he has a poem, Samadhi, describing, it's one of his greatest gifts to mankind, that while he's in a state of nirvikalpa samadhi, he writes down for us, this is what it's like. And, just even taking a quote here and there, we can bring it into our meditation and just try to imagine that state. In fact, Yogananda told us to memorize that poem so that we could remind ourselves always of our true reality, and that little phrases of that poem would come to us in our meditation, in our daily life, and just constantly remind us, no, I am not just this human experience. I am the infinite. One of the quotes is, eternity and I, one united ray, or all space floats like an iceberg in my mental sea. So these are the kinds of phrases we can use in our meditation to help expand our minds. I grew up in a jnanic religion. We had no pictures. Even though it followed the teachings of Christ, it was a Christian sect, sort of. We had no picture of Christ. We had, it was just, true reality is spirit, and everything else on the human level basically doesn't exist. Sort of a form of Vedanta, I think. In fact, I think the founder had read Vedanta teachings before she founded this religion. It was in the 1800s. And I really appreciated growing up in that religion, but I also noticed that everybody in my church, nobody really had love and joy and compassion. They were all the time in their heads. And so, even though we know where we are going, ultimately, it helps us to have that personal heart connection. I know one of the ways, again, thinking expansively, Yogananda also thought that one of the easiest ways for people who were not on the spiritual path to connect with God was through nature. One of his shrines in California is just a beautiful, beautiful park to help people have a place to sit in nature and experience God. And I don't know how many of you have been in the mountains and had a very, very starry night where you could just see the heavens. And, Yogananda used to say, contemplate infinity. So whenever you're in the high Himalayas, when you can see all those stars, just gaze up. When I do, because Ananda village is where we moved from, and it's 1,000 acres out in the country where really nothing much else is around. And whenever we go back in the summer, I always wake up in the middle of the night when the moon isn't there and just go outside and look at the stars, because it gives me so much joy. It reminds me who I am. And even though I can't really conceive of myself as Satchidananda, I can relate to those stars and just think, I think it helps me forget myself and think I am a part of all of this. And so also when we're at the sea or when we're at the ocean, just look out at infinity and just say, this is, just forget yourself in blending with that infinite expanse and just say, I am a part of this. And I feel it's one of the ways that we can relate to our true expansive state. There's a story in the Bible where reminds me of this conflict in Israel and Palestine right now. Jesus and his followers are walking through an area, and there's a woman of a different religion, a woman of Samaria, and she's, drawing water from the well, and there's basically a whole story, and she just says, I have nowhere to worship. I can't worship with these people, and I can't worship with the Jews, and what God, you're worshiping one God, they're worshiping another God. I have nowhere to worship. She says, where should I worship? And he said, the time has come that, as Deepika had just read, that we will be worshiping God as a spirit. God is spirit. We'll be worshiping him as spirit and in truth. And truth really means, what is truth to me? What have I experienced within me? Because that's really, people can tell me all kinds of things. I can be born into a religion. I was born into a religion. And that can really help me get started. But then as I go further and further along the path, I need to, it's not, the truth that has been told to me. I need to have the truth that I myself am experiencing. That's why, I can't remember, somebody made the quote that it's a deep blessing to be born into a religion, but it's bad karma to die in a religion. Meaning if you haven't gone on your own to seek your own truth and your own reality, you could still maybe be in the religion, but still you have to have made it your own from within with your own experience. And so Yogananda gave us, when you pray, well, and then as Deepika said, Jesus Christ, even though he was saying God is spirit, we must worship him in spirit, his most famous prayer is, Our Father, our Father. And what he did, great avatar, he made it say, we are all brothers and sisters. It's not like I'm better than you, even though I maybe experienced oneness with God. I'm no better than you. I'm your brother. You're just the same as me, our Father. And that's also what Yogananda has given us as a prayer that we always pray. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, Friend, Beloved, whatever form we hold most dear, because God is in all forms. God is in our prayer. God is in our thoughts. God is in the words we use to pray. And so, at least within our own lives, with our own father, with our own mother, with our own children, with our, those are probably the easiest, with our best friends, we can say, God is in them, and we can see in our loving them, or in them loving us, or in serving them, or being kind to them, or to, praying for them with light, that we have that connection with God in human form. And then we need to expand that, because, of course, Yogananda said it's not okay, it's good to expand our awareness, perhaps get married, have a family, because you're moving beyond your own selfish self, and now you need to give your energy and your compassion and your loyalty and serve your whole family. But don't let it stop there. It's not us four and no more, is what he called that. We need to move beyond into our neighborhood, into our society, into our country, into the countries next door, into the world, into all our brothers and sisters. So he said, that's the path of expanding into infinity. Start where we are now and expand it. And, when we think of the story of Krishna and Arjuna, and Krishna shows his true state to his friend Arjuna, his infinite self. And Arjuna is freaked out by that. He sees it, he imagines, wow, this is so amazing. He's awestruck, and yet he's filled with fear also, like, where did my friend go? And I used to treat him so disrespectfully and joke with him and lie with him and play with him, and I had no idea that this was the true reality. And then he says, please come back to the form of my friend. And so even Arjuna, this great warrior, he wants to also have a personal God. And then think of Ramakrishna, he's worshiping Kali, and he asks, then Totapuri, this guru comes and says, you're too limited. You're just worshiping Kali in form. You need to move beyond to the infinite. And, he just loved Divine Mother so much that he just had trouble with that. And then he went to Divine Mother, because he, of course, was always in conversation with her, and said, seems like this guy is telling me I should go beyond your form. Do I have your permission? Is that okay? And she said, yes, this is the right thing to do. But still, so then he was having an experience of her again, and he was only thinking of her. And then Totapuri ground some glass into his spiritual eye and said, focus here. And he was able to go beyond form and experience Divine Mother in her infinite form. And he was in samadhi for, I can't remember, a week. I can't remember the exact amount of time. And Totapuri, his guru, and his ashram is in Puri, very nice place to visit. Totapuri said, for 40 years, I have been meditating, trying to achieve the state that he achieved in like 3 days. Just meditating the way I'm telling him and grinding the glass. Now he's in samadhi for these days. So, but what Krishna tells Arjuna in the reading that we just had, what's easier, formless or with form? And he's just saying, because we have to start where we are, because we're sitting around here in human form, it's the easiest. It gives us something that our minds can grasp, or even our hearts can grasp. Because even our minds may be able to imagine what being one with the cosmos is like. Our hearts probably have a hard time with that, and we need to engage our hearts. And so he said, those who with devotion love me, come to me in devotion, and practice the techniques of yoga. And that's what, when Yogananda went to the West, he just said techniques and devotion. And together they work. And Krishna was telling Arjuna, together they will work. And so it's so practical. We just use the scientific techniques of prana, of breath, of gazing upward, of energy, and suddenly we can withdraw the energy that's always flying outside in desires and likes and dislikes and aversions and attachments. Just the whole world is like that usually for us. And suddenly we're back inside. Spirit has descended into human form, not only as these great avatars, but as us. And if we want to reascend back into spirit, we have to follow the same steps that it took to come down, which is material world, energy and light world, causal world, then back to spirit. So this is what yoga teaches us, and it's why it is so effective. That's why so many of us, the first time we ever meditated, it's like, I never knew what peace could feel like, because I never even tried to still my mind in my life. And so now, in a state of peace, in a state of calm, I can perceive the world differently than I have been all this time, when I thought all these other people were my problem. I just realized now that I'm in my center, I can perceive more clearly what's really happening. I was born to learn these lessons. These people are in my life so I can learn that it's an inside job. It's not about them. And each of us was born into a specific set of circumstances according to our vibration. Our last life, we left our bodies. We had a certain vibration. We had a certain blueprint of an astral body. And that blueprint, that astral body, that consciousness brought us to our next stage of growth. Had us be born somewhere where we could learn the lessons we still need to learn. And so it makes life very, very interesting once we get on the spiritual path, because we know that this is custom made for our growth. And every moment of every day can be interesting if we know we were born to expand our awareness, to uplift our consciousness more and more like the great ones, but more and more to that infinity that we know, that Satchidananda, that we know is the goal. This person's in front of me saying this to me right now to help me learn how to get there. And how I reply and how I respond is either going to help me get there, or it's going to just, put me back a grade. And it happens all day long. Not only the interactions, not only the traffic, not only the work and the family and all the things that we go through every single day, but our thoughts. What are we thinking? Because thoughts result in energy, result in our vibration. So that vibration, we want to uplift and expand. We're born with a certain awareness, and the path is to expand our awareness ever greater into this infinite reality, step by step by step. And we look at the very difficult situation in the world right now. I was having a conversation with some people at lunch yesterday. Deep devotees, long time on the path, just freaked out by this, they have connections with Israel or connections with the Palestinians in London, and just so much turmoil and conflict in people's minds right now. Not to mention Ukraine, Russia, you just look around, China, you can just find things to, just have a fearful heart about, or a heartbroken heart. It's heartbreaking. From a human point of view, it's heartbreaking. And it's not to say that the human scene isn't real. It is real, but it's real on its own level of reality. As Yogananda said, and other great saints have said, it's just like this world of duality, this Maya, can only exist if opposites are true at the same time. We have light, we have dark, we have good, we have bad. We have joy, we have sorrow. And Babaji has told us, why all the suffering? Because you can't have one without the other. Otherwise, this world would not exist. So to have this world, or a place where souls can be born, to grow and to evolve, it has to be duality. Then there's all those questions, well, God, I didn't ask for this. Why did you make this world? Why did you make me be born? Those are questions that we can't really ask. We'll know at some point when we reach that infinite wisdom that we're all seeking. But we have that choice in every moment. If this world is half light and half dark, which half am I falling on right now? And, or just even which way is my direction moving? Towards the light? It's not 100%. Am I moving right now towards the light, or am I sinking down because of all the news that I am reading and watching? Nothing like news to really bring you down. So let's practice what we have been taught. Get inside. Control our energy. Don't let the news bring us down. Please don't, you can read the headlines, but don't read every article. Don't watch all those videos, for goodness sakes. What do we need to do to choose the light and be part of the solution with ourselves, with our families, with our country, with the world? How can I experience light and peace and share it with others? Because we come in with this vibration, but I want to expand that vibration of awareness, upliftment through my yoga practices, through my devotion and love of God, through my love of God and gurus. I want my vibration to be strong so that I can, and when I feel that peace in meditation, and when I experience that wisdom of what is really happening here, this is a world of light and shadow. Even Krishna told Arjuna, nobody dies. Nobody dies. We transmute energy. We're just like heartbroken by reading all this news. Look at Arjuna in Kurukshetra. He was heartbroken. This was his relatives. It's like nobody dies. These are souls evolving through time and space and learning in this lifetime that they will not ease their pain by killing other people. You know, we all do things to think that's going to bring us happiness or to avoid pain. So we have to find out, does it work? So all these people now, it is their karma to be in that situation so they can learn lessons. And so many souls are on this planet. This planet, as Yogananda said, is to learn to grow. It's not to necessarily make it a better mud ball. It's to get out of the mud ball. So souls are all on this spectrum of evolution. If I believe that I am just a physical body and my pain will be alleviated if I can kill that body, or I can have this square piece of land, then go for it. What happens? Does that work? Maybe it happens the next lifetime, maybe it happens. At some point, the soul will say, this is not working. Let me try something else. And then we evolve, and we all become saints, and we all become masters like them. That's why they come, to show us, you can do this. And they give us these teachings, and we need to stick with those teachings. We need to practice those teachings. Because if we've had the good karma to come here and learn them, that these gurus have called you to say, here, listen, this is how you get out of all this suffering. You know, if they're handing these teachings to you on a platter like that, we don't want in this lifetime to turn away from that. So whatever we know, we need to practice. And where delusion still is in us, which we all probably have plenty still, you know, we all are growing, then we need to learn that. We need to introspect. We have to see, why am I suffering when I read this news? What do I really believe? Who do I think I am? And then go from there. And whatever you can grasp. I feel better when I love. I feel better when I pray for others. I feel better when I'm not thinking of myself and I'm serving others. This is the spiritual path, and this is how God wants you to pray. Pray for all those people over there. Pray for any conflict in your life, any delusion that's still giving us a hard time. Just know, if you're feeling a hard time about anything, this is why you were born. Don't try to push it away. What is the wisdom in this moment that you need to learn? It's why you're here. You don't want to have to get reborn for that one. You'll get reborn for other things, maybe. But let's not come back for the ones we already know about that are in our life. So, formless or in form, I'll end with this joke. You all know Sherlock Holmes. He's up in the high mountains with his sidekick, Watson. It's beautiful, but it's cold. So they put up a tent, they lie down, they go to sleep. In the middle of the night, Sherlock Holmes wakes up Watson. Says, Watson, what do you see? Watson says, oh, I see billions of stars. It makes me feel so small, like I'm one with the infinite, and I'm just so expanded in this transcendental state. I'm just so happy that we're in this place and I can see all these stars. What do you think of it, Sherlock? Sherlock says, I think someone has stolen the tent.